I wanted some kind of quick fix. Like give me a button I can push and do a software upgrade, or I wanted a quick, easy fix. And this did not feel like it. Ironically, when I finally did learn how to develop a practice of gratitude, it was actually a lot more like a software upgrade than I ever expected. It's like a software upgrade for your brain, and it actually has tremendous amounts of ripple effect in your life and on your state of being. The biggest problem was I didn't really know what gratitude looked like, and I didn't really know how to apply it to my daily life. Like, yeah, be grateful, but like how? Like, what do you do? So, up next, that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about how I stumbled my way into gratitude.
So fly, sweet angel, fly.
Hi, Angel Club. I'm Catherine Thomas. Welcome to my channel, Life Without Lisa. On my channel, I share practical, positive perspectives from my own experience in loving support of parents everywhere who've lost a child. If you're new here, I invite you to subscribe, and don't forget the notification bell so you can stay connected. The Angel Club is what I call that club that no one wants to belong to, and yet here we are. So let's get to it. Gratitude is a big buzzword, and actually even maybe a movement that I feel like has been going on for quite a long time. Everyone seems to be buzzing about this whole gratitude thing. I mean, even Oprah talks about it. Bruce Lipton even has a physiological, scientific explanation as to how being in a state of gratitude literally impacts your cells and can physiologically extend your life. Okay, so this is a big thing, and I've heard of it, kicked around, and the truth is I was never really able to wrap my brain around this whole gratitude thing. I would say about a year, maybe a year and a half after Lisa passed away, I started to question whether I was even capable of being happy again. Like, it had been so long since I felt happiness that I don't think I remembered how to be happy. So I did what any great left brain overthinker does. I decided when I want to learn how to do something, I buy books on it. So I started buying books on happiness. And I started to see this common theme. Many of the books were good, but I started to see this common theme of gratitude. And I got to confess to you, for me, this was kind of an eye roll, like, oh God, not that again, this stupid gratitude thing. It sounded lame and hokey, and I couldn't really relate to it. And I'm like, well, duh, everybody's grateful, right? And like in my own mind, I thought I was grateful. I didn't even know what it looked like to be grateful. But, I didn't want to be that person that wasn't grateful. So, yeah, okay, I'm grateful, but I don't really know what being grateful looks like. Okay, so right off the bat, I need to start with a confession. I am notorious for reading books and then never actually doing what the book recommends. I'll be like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. And then I don't actually do it. So this whole gratitude thing, I started out and I said, okay, I am going to do this. I am going to make a list every day of 5 new things that I'm grateful for. How hard can that be? Surely I can do that, right? Okay, so I gotta tell you, this kind of reminded me of elementary school. Yeah, you ever remember doing this in elementary school where it's like the day before Thanksgiving and you just made this pretty placemat and your teacher says, okay, now you're gonna take this placemat home and I want you to write on it things that you're grateful for, and you're going to read those things out loud to your family on Thanksgiving when you use the placemat at Thanksgiving dinner. So of course, what did I say? I love my mommy, I love my daddy. Making this gratitude list sort of felt like that, and it felt very ingenuine. But okay, I sat down, day one, I'm going to make my list, 5 things. Okay, so number 1 right up off the bat, I'm really grateful for my son who is still alive and I have with me. Okay, I'm really grateful for my husband. He's awesome support. He's terrific. Okay, oh, I know. I'm grateful for my health. Okay, the truth is, I never really gave any thought to my health, but this surely felt like something that needed to go on the list. Okay, I needed two more things. What else? Yeah, I had trouble after three. I don't know. I found a couple more a few obligatory things to put on there to make my five, but I have to tell you, the whole exercise felt very awkward, stupid, and ingenuine. That was my day one. Okay, so now we're on to day two. Well, I woke up the next morning, forgot all about it, didn't pay any attention to anything all day long. At the end of the day, I'm like, oh, that's right, I got to make my gratitude list. I tried to come up with five more things. Yeah, I got nothing. I literally had nothing to put on my list. I know that I'm so embarrassed to even admit this, especially out on the internet. But the truth is, I didn't know what to put on my stinking list. So day two was a big old blank. I put nothing on my list on day two. But one thing that did happen is after I finally conceded to the fact that nothing was going on the list today, I decided, okay, tomorrow, I am not giving up. Tomorrow, from the minute I wake up, I am going to be looking for things to put on my list, because tomorrow night I am putting 5 stinking things on my damn list. There. Okay, so day 3. I want to tell you, it's even amazing that I woke up in the morning and said, I'm putting something on my list today. I am going to find stuff to put on my list today. I actually even remembered in the morning, and that in and of itself was a big step. I don't care how small it is. I am not going to be that person that literally can't come up with more than 5 things to put on my stupid list. Okay, so mind you, I was not at all connected to the spirit of gratitude at this point. It was mainly I was too stubborn to admit that this was something I couldn't do. I was just totally embarrassed. Little did I know that this wounded ego, obstinate, like I'm going to do this despite myself attitude actually was the catalyst that catapulted me into actually learning how to be grateful. So this is how day 3 went. Okay, so it started out like any other day. I'm driving to work. There's a light that's like a half a mile down the road from my house. And I don't know what it is with this light, but I don't think I have ever made this light. Every time I am anywhere remotely close to that light, it turns red. So as usual, I'm not thinking about it. I'm driving toward this light and it's green and I'm like, oh yeah. And I'm way too far away. This light is definitely going to turn red just as I get there. And I'm going to have to sit through the whole stupid cycle of all the turning lanes and everything else. And I started to get closer and it was still green. And I started to think, okay, probably, I got closer, green. I actually made that light. It was just starting to turn yellow as I was going through the light, and I actually made the light. Now this is the dumbest thing ever, but I was like, I got something for my list. That is going on my gratitude list. I made the green light. I never make that light. Yeah, it was lame, but I didn't care. 5 things. I got all day to come up with 5 things. Later in the day, I'm driving. I know it sounds like these are all driving incidents, but this just by coincidence, it was another driving thing that happened. I'm driving along and someone pulls up into the merging lane, which is like the center lane where people merge into the traffic. And I'm like only 10 feet away from this person. And I'm thinking to myself, well, surely this person is going to stop. They're not just going to like plow in front of me. Like I am like right there. And sure enough, that person pulled right out in front of me, and I literally did not have time to brake and not hit this person. I tried to slam on my brakes. There was no way I was going to not hit this person, so I didn't have time to blow the horn. I didn't do anything. I just like veered off the road. I couldn't even look to see if anything was coming. I just like was trying to avoid him, and I ended up off on the side of the shoulder of the road, sitting there with my heart pounding. Thank God I did not hit him. And all of a sudden, something crazy happened. Instead of being furiously mad, like, what are you doing? I realized, oh, I didn't actually hit him, and I could have easily hit him. wow, man, I am so glad I didn't hit him. Woo! That's a gratitude. I'm like grateful. Instead of being angry, I'm grateful that I didn't hit him. Woo! I got 2 from my list. I got 2 from my list. And then another thought hit me. And that was, not only did I not hit him, but I had to just swerve off the road without checking to see if there were any other cars there, or any pedestrians, or a tree or a sign. Like, I could have hit anything on the side of the road, but there was nothing there. So I got to walk away from this incident. No people were harmed, no cars were damaged. And I realized, oh, wow, you know what? I'm really grateful for that too. I had 3 things on my list now. So they're not all dramatic. Later I'm going, well, I guess the traffic light wasn't very dramatic either. But at the end of the day, I get home, I'm pulling in my driveway. I've had a rough day, and I'm like, the thought hits me like, boy, I would really love a nice cold beer right now. I just want to sit home and relax and have a cold beer. And as I'm pulling in my driveway, I have this thought, and then I think, oh, nuts. I don't think I have any beer in the fridge. Oh, well, it was not a significant thought, and I was not going to drive back out and go get some beer. So it's like, oh, well, whatever. So I go in the house, and I start making dinner, and I'm scrounging around through my refrigerator looking for that onion that got misplaced that I need for my recipe. And there it is. In the back of my refrigerator, in a far little corner, there was this one little beer that got shoved in the back and forgotten about. And there was my nice cold beer that I wanted. I have to tell you, this is a dumb thing, I admit it. But I was like, whoa, I really want this beer right now. And I stopped what I was doing. I popped open that beer, and I went out and I sat on the lanai, and I just said, you know what, I'm going to reflect on my day. I'm going to enjoy this beer, and I'm going to think about my gratitude list. That was 4 things. I can't honestly remember what the 5th thing was that I put on that list. But I had my 5 things. So, as I said before, I'm notorious for buying books and thinking that you have a great idea and then actually not really following through. So yes, that was day 2 of my gratitude list, and it was also the last day of my gratitude list. I never actually wrote another list, but it was pivotal because that was the day I learned how to be grateful. So one of my favorite books is by a man named Shawn Achor. And I love this book on happiness because he's a Harvard graduate who actually spent years at Harvard studying positivity with Harvard students. And he took this woo-woo concept of gratitude and actually did a lot of real scientific studies on it. And I loved his book. In his book, he talks about something he calls the Tetris effect. So for those of you who don't know, Tetris is an old game. I don't know how old, but quite old, and I'm not a gamer, but my kids played it, so I know what it was. Tetris is a game where these shapes fall down from the top of the screen, and you can shift them and manipulate them in a way where you try to fit them all together, kind of like puzzle pieces, to make a straight line. And once you make a straight line, the pieces fall down the bottom of the screen, and you have to work as fast as you can because there's always new pieces coming down from the top, and you're always manipulating, trying to make a straight line, fitting them together. So in the Tetris effect, what he explains is that your brain is a single processor. And what they found is when people played Tetris, even for a short amount of time, it had what they called a cognitive after image. And what that is it means that when your brain focuses on one thing over and over and over, like especially if you played for hours and hours, and let's face it, people that play games tend to play them for a long time, over and over and over, it trains your brain to scan on that because that is what your brain has been focused on, and that focus continues on once you stop playing the game. So what they found was that people who played Tetris actually had this cognitive after effect where they would find themselves in the real world not playing Tetris but wanting to put shapes together, like standing at the grocery store and wanting to like shift the boxes of cereal around to make them all line up and make a perfect line. This is an awesome thing because how it applies to gratitude is that once you tell your brain to start scanning for gratitude, and you practice it. You've done it a few times. You're looking for something to be grateful. For me, it was very hard to find things to be grateful for. Like, who cares about a stupid beer in the back of the refrigerator? But I was so desperate for something that I was like forcing myself to look for something to be grateful for. And what that did was it trained my brain to start scanning for gratitudes. Now, I never put anything else on my stinking list, okay? But this is not about making lists. What happened was I suddenly learned that gratitude is not these big giant things. Well, yeah, of course I'm grateful for my son. Of course I'm grateful for my health. But it's not just about that stuff. It's about being grateful and those tiny little dumb things that happen all day long, minute by minute, blow by blow, that are not that important. And yet, isn't that what our life is made out of? It's a bunch of these little events all strung together. That is our life. When people talk about living in the now, that's what they're talking about. This is the now. That moment that I found this silly, stupid beer in the back of the fridge, that was my now. Every moment is your now. And when you learn to be grateful in the moment, what I did was not worrying about making any stinking lists, but what I did was I learned to recognize them when I saw them, and I developed a habit of stopping in that moment and just doing a quick thank you. Just a little moment of gratitude where I just like stopped and said thank you. And what happened was, as I did this more and more and more, I began to find all kinds of things that I was grateful, even terrible things that I could find something to be grateful in almost any event. Then the moment of truth came. That was the moment that I decided that I wanted to do the impossible. I wanted to reflect back on losing Lisa and see if I could find something to be grateful for in that nightmare. I gotta tell you, it wasn't easy, but now I was better at finding things to be grateful for. And when I did it, it looked something like this. Okay, so Lisa had bipolar and something called schizoaffective disorder, and she was hearing voices, and she was frightened and confused and disoriented. She was not herself at all, and her life was very painful. Her passing ended her misery. And you know what? As a mom, even though it started her, it might have ended her misery, but started mine. But the truth is, as a mom, how can you not be grateful when your child is not suffering anymore? So I was really grateful for that. There's another thing. She committed suicide, and she left me a note, but I didn't know she left me a note. A couple days after she passed, I was in her room. I had to move out. I had to get rid of everything. There was a notebook on her desk. It said biology notes. I opened it up. Yeah, it was just biology. Like, I was about to throw it away, and I don't know what made me do this, but for some reason I just opened it again one more time, like way toward the back, in the midst of a bunch of blank pages. And I shut the book and I'm like, wait, what did that say? Did I see mom on there? And I opened up the book and I went fumbling through it, and all of a sudden, randomly, I found a letter to me. And that was her letter that she wrote to me right before she died, saying that she was sorry and not to blame myself. Do you know how easy it would have been for me to say, oh, biology notebook, throw it away, and never have seen that? That made such a difference for me. I was so grateful for that. Okay, I'm not going to tell you all the things, but you get the idea. Once I learned gratitude, I started to really learn gratitude. And the more you do it, the easier it gets. And I began to apply it to everything, even the hardest things in my life, like losing Lisa. And it has made such a difference in my life. There's one more thing that I want to talk to you about with gratitude. It's almost like the more you find things to be grateful for, the more things come at you that you are grateful for. Yes, it's true. that maybe they were always there and you never just saw them before and now you're seeing them for the first time, but it's actually even more than that. You know, this is the law of attraction. If you've heard of that, people talk about that, but this is not as it relates to using the law of attraction to get stuff. This is how the law of attraction works. Then the more you are grateful, the more things show up to you to be grateful for. It's almost like the universe is back there saying, hey, she found that beer in the back of the fridge. I know, let's put a $5 bill on the sidewalk tomorrow and see if she finds that. It's like one thing leads to another, leads to another. Next thing you know, more things are happening. Suddenly you bump into somebody and it can be a whole new career. It could be all kinds of changes that happen in your life, and they do all seem to start with gratitude. This is my crazy path into gratitude. Please, in the comments below, share with me things that you're grateful for, or if you're like me, and things that you have trouble being grateful for. Most importantly, don't forget to love yourself. Be kind and patient to yourself. Take baby steps and celebrate every victory, no matter how small it is. If you have a day that goes horrible and just turns into a total meltdown, go to bed, get some rest. Wake up in the morning, put your feet back on the floor and start again. That's how we roll in the Angel Club. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And as always, this video, like all my others, are dedicated to our angels. If you would like to have your child featured in a dedication, please go to lifewithoutlisa.com to find out how. Until next time, I love you. Peace out.
So fly, sweet angel, fly. Outstretch your mighty wings and paint your colors across the sky and fly, sweet angel, fly. Here where all your pain is gone, this angel's coming home. Yeah.